Hey all, I thought I'd do a follow-up video to my first B200 error video, which had me completely frustrated that I took apart this entire machine just to essentially rip it apart because I was at my wit's end. The B200 error basically destroys your printer. You can't do anything, locks everything up. You get the white and yellow light just flashing back and forth. Carriage won't come in or out, and basically is a complete mechanical failure. The odd part is it's so vague. It seems like a scam, like this, just buy a new printer or something. So if you watch my first video, one of the things I recommended was if you needed to release the printer carriage, to rip off this decorative siding, cut in here. You can watch that video on how to release the carriage. And I did that and got all the cartridges out thinking that might be part of the problem because I do use generic cartridges. I don't use Canon cartridges, but I've been doing that for 7 years now. So that's likely not part of the problem, considering I finally got it working again. So my update here, through pure will and trial and error, I finally got this printer back to printing again. And literally it seems like there was no hope. So what I did was, when you get the B200 error, and I read through a bunch of different people talking about hard resets and so forth, what finally worked for me, but worked for me by trying again and again and again, is unplugging the printer back here and letting it sit for a solid day. Whether that cools a temperature sensor in there down or does something, I don't know. And then before you plug it back in, you begin holding down the power button. 5-10 seconds. Just keep your finger on the power button. While you're holding that power button down, plug the kit cord back in. Continue to hold down this power button. The white light will come on, and you're holding it down for at least 30 seconds. A minute is even better, and it will stay white the entire time. When you finally let go, after about a minute, the white light will turn off and the unit will have powered down essentially. When you press the power button again, just to turn it back on, the white light, it'll come back to life and begin doing its wake up process. Now, the first few times I did it, the white light would come back on, it would blink like it was thinking and begin to look like it was doing something, but not make any noises. And it inevitably would go back to the white yellow B200. I opened up the cover here and pulled out the cartridges. Literally pulled the carriage back out here, pulled all the cartridges out, put them back in, pulled them out again, pulled the actual carriage out. Literally any kind of variable I could think of, just continued to do that. Then I would unplug the cord and do this whole process over again. Finally, after about a day or two of unplugging, letting it sit for hours or a whole day, I plugged it in and held down this power button. Did that same cycle again where I held down the power button once I had plugged the cord in, let it go after 30 seconds, turned it back on, and all of a sudden I had mechanical life. So it would cycle through and then begin to move the carriage, which was the first sign of life it had done in like 3 or 4 days. Frustratingly, it did a whole setup. Seemed like it was all good to go. I was thankful it was ready to print. I literally opened the tray to check on the cartridges, and as soon as I opened that tray, it went back to the B200 flashing thing, which seemed crazy because everything all of a sudden seemed working and then goes back to B200. So I kind of messed with the carriage again, just moving it, kind of trying to jiggle whatever was loose. Began doing the plug thing again. Probably on my literally 50th try of plugging in the cord, unplugging the cord, holding down this power button, plugging in the cord, waiting 30 seconds, letting it go so this then turns off, turning back on. All of a sudden, it fully came to life and was ready to print. I have no idea what I did differently, and I have no idea why it suddenly works. But that pure trial and error went from this being ready to go in the garbage as an $800 printer that was perfectly fine before, to something I'm now using. So while I gutted it to get to all the parts, I have no idea what the B200 era is, and that's why I say it's essentially a scam, because it's so vague, and it went from completely broken and a total hardware failure to me just messing around with it, starting again and again and again and again, to finally it's now printing absolutely fine, no issues. So I don't know what it is. I blame Canon 100%. I'm a big Canon fan, but vague errors like that and crappy customer service is why I'm starting to look at the Epson product already, because I assume this is going to happen again. So all I can tell you folks is, if you're hoping that error goes away, it's going to take a lot of trial and error. Get the printer cartridge moving by hand. You know, you're going to have to look at the first video to cut it open, to release it. Take out the cartridges, put them back in, put one in at a time, unplug it, let it sit for an entire day. Again, do the reset, the hard reset function I'm describing. Constantly do it again and again and again, and hopefully eventually you'll start to see the signs of life. The sign of life is once you turn it back on and it starts blinking a few times, when you start hearing the gears actually turn. That means you've gotten to a different phase past the B200 error, because it starts to reawaken and move the cartridge. I can't tell you specifically anything I did that was amazingly magical, but I can tell you that hopefully you can save your printer if you do sort of the tedious task that I'm talking about. I hope that helps. Good luck. Go Epson. Talk to you later.